Welcome to the Solopreneur Success Podcast, where successful business owners gather to share true stories and sound advice to help you start and grow your own solopreneur business. Come soar with us and design the life you love. Now, here's your host, Steve Coombes.
Hey, solopreneurs, it's Steve Coombes here. I want to talk to you today about a concept called leveling up. Many of us, we're stuck at home for the most part, or maybe you're finding yourself in a position that is required. Perhaps you're a medical provider or a first responder, or you're working in the food industry or one of these what they call essential industries, and you're very busy. One of my coaching clients works for Amazon, for example, and they have him working overtime like crazy. Other folks I'm talking to, they're pretty much at home doing the Netflix and Cheetos diet, right? It's all about chilling out and saving time. But are they really saving time if you are just vegging out the whole time? I want to share a story with you. It's a true story about how I got started in my first really successful solopreneur business, which was copywriting. Now, this is going back over a decade ago. At the height of the Great Recession, I had already started writing for clients. I started with, small blog posts and articles, short sales letters, and I had this big dream. And the dream was, I'm going to work for myself. I'm going to have all the time flexibility in the world. I'm going to be able to work from wherever I want to. I had this, the beach dream, bring my laptop to the beach. I don't subscribe to that theory anymore. I believe if I'm going to the beach, I'm just going to enjoy the beach. If I'm going to the mountains to go hiking, the laptop stays home. But I very much appreciate the ability I have today to work from wherever I want to work from, to control my own level of income, to decide what kind of clients I choose to work with rather than someone telling me on a day-to-day basis, hey, this is your paycheck. You need to do what I say. I don't do that. And that's a big part of why I became a solopreneur. I like to have a little more measure of control over what my destiny is. But at that time, I was working at a Fortune 1000 company, and I was in the cubicle farm in IT. My past life was a computer programmer, QA engineer, release engineer, did a lot of different IT type of work. And one morning, a huge group of our IT department, probably half of us, I believe it might have been like 83 people, something like that, I'm guessing. But it was a large number of us were herded into a big conference room, and we're told that the big project, the multi-million-dollar project we were working on, they were pulling the plug. Height of the Great Recession, this is June of 2009. Literally the day before, we had signed the lease to move into a new home. My wife was pregnant with child number 7. And as a matter of fact, shortly after I was laid off, again, this is the height of the Great Recession, she started having complications and was moved into a hospital bed so they could monitor her and keep her still. The other children, 6 children, actually one was out of the house at the time, 5 children at home. And my wife's in the hospital, and I have no job. Guess what I'm doing? I am dialing like crazy looking for clients. I'm doing whatever I can do to make it through. And here's something else that was a little shocker for me. When I got laid off, I literally drove home with a smile. I was like, all right, I'm all set. Now I can get some unemployment to kind of cover this little movement into a full-time business. But what I didn't realize is getting laid off and filing for unemployment, that works. But if I actually am pursuing full-time business of my own, that disqualifies you from unemployment, something to be aware of. But here's the great news. I made it through. It was a matter of necessity. As a matter of fact, there were no jobs available to me. I had to find a way to provide for my family, and I did. And it wasn't easy. I worked my tail off. I worked and I worked and I worked. And I grew in my skills and my experience and built something that paid a lot more than I ever made in IT. That gave me so much more flexibility than I ever had in IT. As a matter of fact, a few years later, my mother-in-law got sick in Florida. And on the spur of the moment, flew my wife down on a plane to Tampa from New Hampshire. And the rest of us drove down thinking it might be a week, not even sure how long it was going to be. We ended up spending 6 months in Florida. And in that time, my wife was actually able to be there for her mom, and turned out to be cancer, and help her through the chemotherapy treatments that she was going under. And while I was there, by the way, my income increased. You can't do that in many jobs, but you can do that when you design the solopreneur success life that you're dreaming of, if you prepare. And right now, we're facing this big coronavirus. It's a big, scary thing. Many people are sick. Many people are worried about their jobs. Many people are just simply hunkering down and wondering when it's all going to end. And that's just part of life right now. But I want to encourage you this way. Just because you're hunkering down does not mean it's time to just chillax. It's time to level up. You need to make sure that your mindset is one of, I may not know exactly all the pieces yet, but I know I'm going to find them, put them together, and make it through. As a solopreneur, you need to become the leader. In your family, you need to be the leader. In your business, you need to be the leader. You need to take that mindset of, I can do this. And I don't necessarily have to know all the answers up front, but I do know this. I'm not going to quit. I'm going to keep going. And sometimes getting there, it requires that mindset shift, but it also requires prioritization. What are you going to work on right now? And in my community, Solopreneur Success Connections community, I sometimes will put out on our private group, I say, what are you working on this week? What are you going to do this week to move your business forward? I'll put that on a Monday because we need to have a goal. Don't just kind of slide through life. You need to be held accountable to yourself. Nobody else is really going to hold you accountable. We talk about accountability. We talk about, no, I need somebody to hold me accountable. Well, no, you need to hold yourself accountable. And by placing your goals out there in the world publicly is motivation to you to hold yourself accountable. Why is that motivation? Because nobody wants to say, I'm going to do this, and then they fail to follow through. We all feel that little bit of regret when we say, I'm going to do something, and you don't do it. Therefore, make your goals public. Matter of fact, if you're in my community, or if you're not, at the end of this podcast, I'll make sure to give you a link. You can join us for 30 days free. Give it a try. We have a lot here. But whatever you do, make your goals public. Make plans. And don't stop dreaming big just because there's a scary virus going around. Matter of fact, if anything, dream bigger. Maybe you have some time now to think about what you really want your life to look like when you come out on the other side of this thing. And like I said about that mindset shift, what is it that you've already made it through in your life? Look, we've all faced challenges. No one here is unique and can say they've never faced a challenge, have made it through. If you're alive and you're listening to this podcast, you have faced a challenge and you've made it through before. This might be a bigger challenge than others you've faced before. It may not. But you have faced challenges and you're still here. So take that mindset of, I've faced different challenges, and this one might be different, but I know I can make it through. And then prioritize. What do you need to focus on now? And then I want to get to the topic of today's little short solo episode. It's time to level up. And by leveling up, what I mean is, what are the specific skills that you need to increase to further your ability to be a successful business owner? What skills will allow you to grow your business faster than ever, or to take it in the direction that you want it to go? I don't know what that is, but maybe that skill set is core to your business. Maybe you need to work on your marketing skills. Maybe you need to establish some routines to improve your productivity. Maybe you need to simply stop procrastinating. And there's a lot of reasons why we procrastinate. I shared on a different call with a different group of people not too long ago. And here's what I have written down. I keep this on my desk because I used to be a world-class procrastinator, and sometimes I still struggle with this. And I found that when you're procrastinating on something, it's usually one of these causes. Either it's fear, or you feel overwhelmed, or you have some level of confusion about what to do, or you find yourself in self-doubt, or your work is not in alignment with your purpose. Let me give those to you again. Fear, overwhelm, confusion, self-doubt, or you're not working in alignment with your purpose. What is it that's keeping you from moving forward like you ought to be? I'm not talking about it. Yes, sometimes it takes us longer to accomplish the things we want to accomplish than we anticipated. But that's different than putting off what we know we ought to be doing. What is it right now that you should be doing and you're not doing it? That's procrastination. I'm thinking about in my business right now, there's actually a specific task that I ought to be doing. And saying these words brought to mind one thing that I've been putting off is, oh gosh, here I am, I'm preaching to myself here, right? We need to be aware, self-aware of what is it in our businesses that keep us from succeeding at the level that we could if we would just do those things we already know that we need to do. And sometimes the reason you're not doing it is you don't have that clarity. But more often than not, it's you just don't know what's going to happen. You have fear of the feeling, what if I fail at this? Okay, so what? Did you know that every time you succeed at anything, you failed first? Before you learned how to walk, you fell down. Before you learned how to ride a bike, you had to wobble a bit. Before you learned how to drive a car, you had to get behind the wheel and you probably went in reverse and turned the wheel the wrong direction. All these skill sets that you take for granted, tying your shoes. Yeah, these are all basic things, right? But everything you've ever learned to do in life, before you did it well, you had to do it poorly. So they're not really failures. It's data. It's learning experiences. It's building upon what you have practiced. That way you can grow and become more competent. The more you do something, the more competent you get. The more competent you get, the more confident you get. If you feel not very confident, do the action anyways, and you'll become more competent. And as you become more competent, you will become more confident. So I want to encourage you that way. If you're overwhelmed, maybe you need to break things down into bite-sized pieces. Maybe you're thinking this is way too big of a goal. Hey, let your vision be your big vision, and then break that puppy down into something you can actually do today. What is it that you can do today? What one small action? Remember, incremental progress is still progress. Maybe you're just like, I don't really know what to do, and I'm confused. Maybe you need a mentor. Maybe you need somebody who's been in the trenches where you're going, and you need to say, look, can you guide me? That's what training courses are for. That's what having a personal coach is for. That's what having a business mentor. And it doesn't have to be someone you pay, but you might want to pay someone for this kind of help. And the reason why is because when you invest in yourself, you tend to be more likely to take the advice. That's just human nature. Honestly, you have a world of free information out there on the internet, right? You could Google just about anything, and you could probably sort through it if you take enough time and do it. Problem is, most people won't, or they'll be overwhelmed by the amount of material out there and say, look, I need somebody to just guide me. And that's what coaches and mentors are really useful for, is to help guide you. Trainers in specific skill sets, they guide you with a level of expertise so that you can skip all the trial and error and just get right to the nitty gritty of what's going to help you get where you want to be. How about self-doubt? You have self-doubt? How about you think about the things you've already accomplished in life? Sometimes I'll ask my clients, I'll say, what have you done in the last 10 years? You see, it's very easy to think, I don't know how much I can really accomplish. But when you look at what you have accomplished in the last 10 years, you might be amazed. Sometimes we overestimate how much we can do in 1 year, but vastly underestimate what we can do if we stay consistent for the next 3, 5, 10 years out. So allow yourself that big vision. What would you, if you could do anything, what would that be? And it does not have to be a 1 year goal. Matter of fact, it probably should not be a 1 year goal. My vision, I want to help 1 million entrepreneurs start and grow their own successful business. That's a huge number. That's not going to happen just this year. But I am taking daily actions that will allow me to do that. Matter of fact, this podcast is one of those ways that I'm working towards that vision. What's your vision? What do you want to accomplish? And don't just put a dollar value on something. Say, I want to be a millionaire. Okay, great. Whoop-de-doo. What does being a millionaire get you? Why do you want to be a millionaire? What is it behind that goal? When we have goals, there's reasons for the goals. And just slapping a number out there isn't really enough, especially when the going gets tough and you start doubting yourself. So here's what you need to do. Think about that big vision, and then think about, why is that my vision? Why is that the number? Or why is that the goal? Or what am I really trying to accomplish here? Why is that important to me? What is the emotional impact? Why is that even creating an emotional impact in me? You need to think of a deeper thought process than just, let me just give you a number, or this is how many clients I want this year. Okay, those are great numbers, but those are stepping stones to something bigger. What's big in your life? It's time to level up. Something else that you might want to consider at these times, especially if you're like me and you're mostly just staying at home, and I work from home anyway, so this is not a big change for our family. My wife and I were both self-employed. We homeschool. It's not a big deal for us to stay home. We just don't go out quite as much as we used to, but it's not a big deal. But maybe you're going a little stir crazy and you might need a little bit of structure. And this is a great time to create the kind of structure in your business that will allow you to make positive changes that help you accelerate your success. Let me give you some examples. And by the way, it doesn't always have to be specifically business related. I have a friend of ours, her and her daughter, they're kind of stuck at home, and what they're doing is they're refinishing all the furniture in their house. And we're seeing pictures on Facebook, and they're like sanding down cabinets and repainting and all this crazy stuff they're doing. More power to them. I think it's fantastic. But what they're doing is they're creating order and structure in their lives. Other folks that are friends of ours, we see the pictures on Facebook of the different projects they're doing around the house. In my case, I decided to do something last week. I structured a new Trello board. Actually, it's an existing Trello board, but I restructured it to work with the new VA for this podcast and to allow us to work more efficiently together with brand new checklists. I already use checklists. I think checklists are great. If you have no idea why checklists are that important, you need to read the Checklist Manifesto, a terrific book. I'll put a link in the show notes. But you do need to find a way to structure your business in a way that gives you maximum momentum. You should not allow your business to become unwieldy. That stunts your growth. Because as you start to grow, if you don't have systems and processes in place that allow you to grow and to manage that growth, what's going to happen is it's going to get to a point where it becomes unmanageable and you cannot keep up. You'll spend 18-hour days just trying to keep up with your business, and instead of you running your business, all of a sudden it's your business is running you. And if you don't have processes in place to manage the day-to-day, we know what's going to happen. You can't even outsource that because you don't have clarity on what you need to do. So use this time to structure, whether it's a Trello board or maybe it's rearranging your office and setting up your filing cabinet better. Maybe it's time, something else I did last week, getting my books caught up for the year. What do you need to do to have yourself well positioned for growth this year? This might be a little bit of a pause in your business, or maybe a time of great growth, but whichever it is, you still need that structure in your business. So use this time to level up. Again, level up your skills, level up your environment. Hey, what are you reading and listening to? I'm glad you're listening to this podcast. What else are you listening to? Get a good audiobook, something that'll grow your skills. Get a real life book or a Kindle book and study it. What's on your bookshelf? I'll tell you what I just finished reading not too long ago, and I'm actually reading it again. Terrific book called High Performance Habits by Brendan Burchard. I might have mentioned this recently. Just finished that book, I think it was last week or week before, and I highly recommend it. It's a terrific book. But what else is on the shelf? I've got multiple books at any given time that either I'm reading or about to read, because I am constantly in this mindset of I need to level up my skills. I listen to podcasts. What's your favorite podcast? I hope this is one of them. But whatever it is, make sure that you are leveling up your skills, that you're getting the inputs that allow you to think and to grow and to get new ideas. That's going to help you. All right, so just a few things I want to share with you. You're going to make it through this. And if you use this time wisely, you're not only going to make it through this, you're going to come out on the other side stronger than ever in your business. Or if you haven't started your business yet, use this opportunity to prepare your business to start and grow rapidly and efficiently. Build your systems. Think about your processes. document it so you can outsource things. I'm not saying outsource everything right off the bat. When I started this podcast, I did my own audio editing. Yes, it was a real pain. Yes, it took me a lot more time than I ever anticipated. But I do know this. I also know that I have an understanding of what a good audio editing process is more than the folks who did a podcast and never went through that process for themselves. So it's good to learn new skills. And then maybe after you have some level of competency, outsource them. You don't have to outsource everything. Yes, focus on your strengths, but that doesn't mean that you can't continue to build upon the areas that are core to your business. I consider this podcast core to my business because this is part of my way of reaching entrepreneurs towards that vision of helping 1 million entrepreneurs start and grow their own successful business. What's your vision? I'd love to hear from you. You can reach out to me anytime through my website at solopreneurcoach.com. I'd love to see you in my community, Solopreneur Success Connections. Matter of fact, I promise you I'll give you a code. Here it is, SS30FREE, SS30FREE. Use that code and you'll get 30 days free access to my entire community. And here's what that means. You get the live monthly training. You're talking about leveling up. Last month, we had Bob Lai teach a fantastic course on content marketing. Did you miss it? No problem. We have it on a recording. You can watch that as a member. This month, Mark Everett Johnson is coming in a couple weeks to teach us about headlines that hook. Now, here's a guy that's written something like 3,600 headlines or so just in the last 3 years and tested them. He knows what's working in a marketplace right now. You're going to learn an incredible amount of valuable marketing know-how by attending that class, and you'll get it for free just by joining Solopreneur Success Connections. Even if you just take the 30-day free trial, it's worth it. And you'll also get access to our community, our virtual mastermind, which is exclusive to our member community. You need some people that are going to support you in business. I don't know if you have those folks around you already or not. If you do, fantastic. But it's also good to get ideas from diverse sources. And we have business builders at every level, from getting started to highly successful millionaire-based businesses. And you'll get their direct advice and input when you communicate with them and you participate in our community. I invite you to join us. Again, go over to solopreneurcoach.com. The menu item there is community. Just click that. You'll learn about the community and then use that code SS30FREE to join us for 30 days for free. Take advantage of the free trainings. Join our community. Get to know us. There's a lot of other member benefits I don't have time to tell you about right now. Just wanted you to be aware of that because if that's a resource you could use, I want you to have it. And I look forward to sharing a great interview with you again this Friday. Look for that coming out. And until next time, have a great week.
Thank you for listening to the Solopreneur Success Podcast. We hope you discovered valuable advice on how to start and grow your own successful solopreneur business. If you liked the podcast, you'll love the all-new Solopreneur Success Connections community at solopreneurcoach.com. Here you'll get exclusive access to our private, members-only community of business builders, free business building resources, and live online monthly training designed to accelerate your business success. Join us now at solopreneurcoach.com.
Hey, Solopreneurs, you can find all the show notes for this episode at solopreneurcoach.com/017. See you there.